All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is contour shapes, and within contour shapes, I want to talk about positive and negative shape. So positive and negative shape is, imagine you have fully formed objects, a hand, a face, an animal, a plant, etc., and it contains its shape and all of the details in between. When we're talking about a contour, it is as if it is just that subject's shadow. So it's just the outer shape with no detail in between. Okay, so it's as if we are taking the world and all of its complex shapes and breaking it down into a shadow or paper cutouts. If we could just do a paper cutout of my hand, that would be the contour shape of my hand. So I have one here of just some scissors. With you, I'm going to demo this roll of tape right here. And when we're talking about positive and negative shape, in this example, the scissors would be the positive. So that's the subject. That's always going to be the positive shape. And whatever is surrounding and in between is called the negative shape. So we also call that negative space. Negative shape or negative space. Positive shape and or the subject. Okay, so there are a couple of strategies that are very helpful because, again, in drawing, we're working with really complex shapes. We're trying to distill that information down into something that we can draw and understand. So the first thing I'm going to recommend is that you do your first initial lines really light. So if you have your pencil set, you can do an H4, maybe an H2, H4. H's are going to be the hardest pencils and B's are going to be the softest. So I'm just going to do a really basic outline, really nice and light. I'm using some sketchy strokes because I'm not being too serious about it. I'm not laying down my final quite yet. And sometimes it's even helpful for me to start to close some shapes. So this is sort of a circle. So I can make that a complete circle so that I know that it's all lining up just fine. My circle then kind of continues over here. And I'm just, continuing to refine all those shapes. That's my job right now, is just to see and refine and see and refine. And then if you start to get into a tricky spot, what you can do is start to imagine there's a line connecting all of these shapes. What do those shapes make? So I'm looking at this U shape and I'm realizing that the negative space in that U shape is not too similar to what I have on the paper. So I'm going to go ahead and to focus on that negative shape. So I'm just drawing that sort of U shape of the negative shape. I can even close that off if that's helpful. And now I can continue on to start looking at both positive and negative shapes to really refine and define. I have a studio dog who's crying because he wants to go outside and play. Okay, and again, it's all about looking and refining and defining. Don't be afraid of your eraser at this juncture. The eraser is your friend. We're just seeing and noticing, continually defining. And why do we start with all of the outside shapes before we worry about any of the inside detail? Is that it's a common thing with drawers that you maybe start with an eyeball or you start with some fingernails. And then all of a sudden you realize that the entire hand or the entire face is not where you need it to be on the composition. So all of that time that you very carefully spent on the detail of the eyeball now has to be erased because the entire thing is off. Okay, so I'm just imagining here that my shape is made of multiple puzzle pieces, positive and negative shape puzzle pieces, and I am simply trying to make those fit together in my puzzle of positive and negative shape. Okay, and then to really finish this off, I'm gonna just block in that negative space on the outside. I'm working with some translucency here, so I have some space that's kind of within positive and negative. There's somewhere in between. So I'm just kind of making that a little bit of a light gray here. And you can grip your pencil in different ways. So the way that I'm doing my detail is kind of a standard grip. If you want to do more sweeping areas, you can hold it sort of like that, get the side angle. Probably need to sharpen my pencil, but for the sake of this quick demo, I'm just gonna do it real fast. You always want to have your eraser and your sharpener at hand. Okay, we got a little messy towards the end, but you get the idea. That is positive and negative shape and some strategies to help you out. So don't forget to puzzle piece them together. Start with a light pencil, go darker as you get a little more confident. Do blocking, block in your lights and your darks. Don't be afraid of that eraser. And good luck.